Our feelings for you, they burn ever so brightly. Our bonds still remain, so don't take them so lightly. Doesn't matter where you are, whether you're near or far, we will rise and show our strength, just know that we are hope. Hello everyone and welcome to a video that I haven't done in quite a while, Top Moments. This is top 10 moments from episodes 700 to 900. So normally on this channel, after every 100 episodes of One Piece, after I've done them, I've put up the reactions to them, I will then go back and talk about my top 5 moments from that 100 episodes. So I didn't do it the previous 100. I told you guys at the time I kind of didn't have time to get the video done, and I was like, you know what, like, I'm not gonna do it right now. And so I decided to wait until I finished another 100 episodes, and then I was just gonna put them all in one video. So instead of having the top 5 moments of 2 different hundreds and having to do them back to back, I thought I'd just do the top 10 moments of both 100 episodes. So the problem with this is it's possible there's going to be like a uneven distribution, you know, like one of the sets of 100 may be underrepresented. I haven't actually like counted or looked at this at all, but I'm imagining that there is going to be one of the hundreds that is underrepresented within this countdown. That's just the way the cookie crumbles. The thing is, this was, I feel like I say this every time, but I think this was the hardest list to put together. I will also say that I put together the list a bit prematurely. Originally, I put together the list and I still had several episodes of the series to go, of the 100 to go. But I thought, you know what, like, I can probably put the list together now. And then I had at least 2 more moments that I went, oh, that I think that needs to be in the list, and I had to find space for it in the list and move things out. So there were some moments that were in the list until, like, there was moments that were in the actual official list for weeks and then were taken out at the last second in replacement for some other things. So I'm excited about this list. With this video, I will also say I feel like it might be, I don't know, it might be a bit simpler than the videos normally are. I mean, these videos sometimes take a little while to edit and such. There might be, like, for example, in the honorable mention section, so a lot of the time I'll play clips, real quick clips of them during the honorable mentions. I might not do that this time because it just adds a lot more editing time and going to find the footage and all of that. And there's a lot of honorable mentions to mention today as well. So anyway, I think we're gonna jump into this. We got 10 moments to get through. If you like this video and you haven't checked out the reactions to any of these moments, you can just go onto the channel and you can see these moments, see the reactions to these moments. You can also go to my Patreon account in the description below to get the full-length versions of all of these reactions. There are quite literally like 1,500 or more full-length videos on my Patreon account right now. Not just of One Piece, but of a whole lot of shows. So it's incredibly cheap for how much content you get. And so you can go check that out. But you know, otherwise, oh, and you'll also be like 3 or 4 weeks ahead of my YouTube videos on my Patreon account. So go check that out. We are a decent amount into Wano on my Patreon account right now. We're in Act 2, if that means anything to you. So yeah, I think we're gonna jump into this. This is the top 10 moments of episodes 700 to 900. At number 10, this was an incredibly last-minute addition to the countdown. And I like this is the most last-minute addition. And I was sad that I had to knock out what I knocked out. But at number 10 we have the start of the Wano arc. Whoa. We're getting new character introductions. Oh shit. Women introductions? Hell yeah, dude. Oh, the song is great. Wow. Beautiful design for a city. Oh, it's going off. So the Wano arc has had the biggest build up out of basically anything in One Piece so far, I feel like. Like, there was people had been referencing Wano so much, and for good reason. I mean, the Wano is like 200 and something episodes or something. It means it was probably on TV for like 5 years. And it was like a really long, important arc. I obviously have not gotten through it yet. I'm like, I don't even think I'm like a quarter of the way through yet. So, so there's a lot of Wano, and it's a very important moment in the story. I knew that going into it. And I also knew that there was going to be some animation changes, that, you know, the director had changed or whatever. But, like, I feel like the director had changed in One Piece a few times from memory. And there'd been, like, small art style changes, or even big ones. Like, I would say when it switched from standard definition to HD, there was, like, a big change there. And I loved that change. But I kind of, like, wasn't really prepared for how different it felt. As soon as we got into Wano, it was like, whoa, this is a different show. And it, like, the introduction to Wano had such an incredible vibe to it. I loved the music. I loved seeing the art style change. I just loved how, like, the eye catch, the mid cards changed. Like, everything just felt so different. And that was incredibly exciting to me. I love those moments where I feel like I'm part of something special in anime. And they did a great job making it feel so visually and audibly distinct from everything that One Piece has done so far. And just the fact that, like, the base level of animation kicked up so much. Like, just the shots that normally would look kind of average, you could immediately tell that they were better. There was a point where we had like a Zoro fight scene with just some randoms or whatever, and they showed that there's like legitimate choreography going on, where sometimes they would do that kind of scene as like a throwaway, and it would be like one frame of him like that and one frame of him like that, and then there would be like some effect on screen, but they actually did like a full choreography for it. It was an awesome introduction to the arc. I really loved it, so that was why Wano's beginning is at number 10. At number 9, we have the pudding is actually a bitch reveal. What the fuck? Whoa! She's a Mistari. No! Oh my god. Oh my god. Unless this is like complete bullshit. Oh my god. Why does she have a third eye? Oh no. Before we started Whole Cake Island, when we had heard about Pudding Charlotte, I talked about like the potential of that character a lot on this channel because there's something wrong with me. And I was speaking about, okay, how are they going to approach Pudding? Are they going to go the method of like, we're gonna try to make this a nightmare bride for Sanji, in that like she's gonna be incredibly unattractive and like really annoying and just like the worst person for Sanji to be with, and he's gonna hate it and want to stay away. And I thought like that felt like the more likely option, but I didn't like that option very much. I was talking about how like that's the less interesting option to me. And yet I feel like that's what Oda's going to go with. And the other option that I had said was like, you make Pudding the perfect woman. Like you make her an incredibly like loving, gorgeous bride. And it's like she's being, she's a big part of this, you know, she's being pulled along in this, and she doesn't really necessarily want that to be the case, but she's not done anything wrong. And then when we saw a picture of Pudding, and then when we met her for the first time, I thought, oh, they're going with that route, the route that I much preferred. Even in my prediction skit video, which is called What I Thought Whole Cake Island Would Be Based on the Title Alone, even in that video, I characterized Pudding in my prediction as like very sweet, very pretty, and you know, she like is just so incredibly kind and loving. And then we actually got to it, and I was like, oh my god, did I get the characterization right? Now, here's where it switched up, is at this moment in the show where they reveal that, in fact, she has been fooling Sanji the entire time, and that she is actually a really harsh, kind of evil woman with the third eye. Like, there's several moments that I really thought this was awesome. First, I was very fooled by it. I will at least give myself a bit of credit, and a lot of the times I was talking about pudding, I put a caveat on the start of the sentence by going like, if this isn't all an act, then blah 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 blah. I did that several times in the previous videos, so it's not like I was so fooled that I didn't even consider that it could be the case, but as it went on more and more, I feel like I was giving that caveat less and less, because she was winning me over, and I was like, oh no, I think she's actually just legitimately a sweet person. But then, you know, it gets revealed, and the reveal is so cool, and not only that, the third eye design is amazing. Like, I love it. I also had recently played Metaphor Refantasio, and so she looks like a Mistari in Metaphor Refantasio. And so, like, because of that, I also liked the design more, because Metaphor had made me get more used to seeing three-eyed characters and finding them beautiful, you know? So, like, it got me more into the idea of liking this sort of character design, and then I see it with pudding, and it really works for me. And then also there's the fact that they showed pudding with three eyes back in Fishman Island. I had seen the character before, and I didn't realize, but then I went back and watched my reaction to that moment, and I even say like, oh, there's a girl with three eyes, interesting. And then I just completely forgot about that because it was ages ago. But yeah, then we eventually see her again, and she's got three eyes, and oh, it's crazy. But it's just a really cool moment. But more importantly, this moment I really love because it sets up one of my even more favorite moments, which will be later in the countdown, so stick around for that. But that is why number 9 is Pudding's reveal. Okay, at number 8 is Kaido's debut. What? Looking for a place to die. This is someone who's jumping.
海軍または敵船に捕まること18回。
Okay.
彼は今自殺をしたのだ。
Whoa.
世に珍しき空島
What a wild introduction to this character. Whether it's Kaido or someone else.
現在に至る。
It's such a big build-up that it feels like it could be Kaido.
もう一度言うが。
But would Kaido have been defeated 7 times?
および4個捕まること18回。40回の死刑宣告。
Said he fought the 4 emperors.
時に釣られるも鎖。
When he was hanged to the chain for...
にかけられるもその葉は。
Oh my god.
槍は折れ。結果つまり誰も彼を殺さなかった。 彼自身もしかり。
So he wants to die and can't. Oh my god. That was pretty good animation on that hand coming up. Come on, just show me the design. Oh my god. Whoa. It is Kaido. That's what he looks like? So they had talked about Kaido a lot in the series. I'm sure they'd probably shown, like, I don't know if they'd shown Kaido's design, but like at least they'd probably shown like silhouettes of him or something. But when I was going into this, I didn't know what Kaido looked like. I had heard them talk about Kaido a lot. I'd heard fans talk about Kaido a lot. I didn't know much about Kaido. But we get this introduction to Kaido, which is basically him trying to end his own life. And it is just a really cool moment. It oozes aura. Like it just has so much power to it. When the narrator comes in, and I was shocked at the time, I was like, why is there a narrator talking? the narrator comes in just to describe how badass this guy is by going like, he's been captured this many times, he's been like sentenced to death like 40 times or whatever, and even just showing things like, you know, when he was like they tried to hang him but the chain snapped, they tried to, you know, like they tried to stab him but the spears broke, they tried to do all of this stuff, and like, and none of it ever worked on him. And I just think it's so cool seeing all the different ways that they tried to execute him, and how he even tried to execute himself, and just none of it worked. It's a really, really cool introduction to the character, and it ends up setting up Wano, even though this was still, you know, this was before Whole Cake Island, this was early Zou, or even before Zou, so there was still like quite a little bit before we actually got to Wano, but they were setting it up nicely in advance. I love it. It was a really cool moment. I liked it a lot. At number 7, we have a twist, another twist, and this was the twist that Zou knew about Raizo the entire time. What happens? Oh my god. What are they doing? What? What? Huh? Wait, do they actually know Raizo? What the fuck is... What? What the fuck? Are you kidding? Oh my god. I didn't expect that at all. I think this is genuinely possibly the most unexpected twist in the series. If not, like, it's definitely up there. And the reason I say that is because it, like, some twists, right? If you have the twist of like, oh, Dragon is Luffy's father, or Garp is Luffy's grandfather, or like, you know, there's a lot of those twists out there that are in One Piece that, like, I feel like with enough time you could be like guessing it. People would be like thinking about like, well, we don't know who Luffy's father is, so who could it be? Oh, it might be like someone really important. Oh, there was that guy that we don't know anything about. What if that was Luffy's dad? You know, like, you can speculate that sort of stuff. But these twists that come out of nowhere, of like, you didn't even know you were looking for a twist, you didn't know that anything was coming, and then it hits you out of nowhere, because the show had built it up as like, don't mention the samurai here. And what the scene is making us think is some shit is about to go down. Like, that Kinemon is ruining this all, and we're gonna all be in danger, or we're gonna have to figure out how to get away from Zou safely, or something along those lines. Like, it was setting up to be some sort of like crazy dangerous situation. I feel like the show was so perfectly making me think, like, not of like, oh, it's actually going to be a twist. I was just thinking, how are they going to get out of this? And yet when he says, I'm looking for Raizo, I'm looking for my my compatriot or whatever, and then both Cat Viper and Dog Storm just sit down and go, we've been waiting for you. Raizo Dono is safe. It's an incredible moment, because not only is it shocking, not only is it just a great twist because you didn't see it coming, because they had said the entire time that they have no idea who this is in a very believable fashion, and had been tortured and still not given anything up, but the fact that it's the sort of twist that the second they say Raizo Dono, like the second they put an honorific on him, it's like everything falls into place. Like, immediately, I feel like, at least if you're paying attention to the story, you understand everything. Like, just by them using an honorific on his name, like, you're like, oh my god, they do know who he is. They respect him. They respect him so much that they literally all of them let themselves be tortured and never let it slip in the slightest. Not just one or two people, everyone on the island, nobody even let it slip just a little peep, you know? That was just an incredible moment. I think at the time when I'm watching it, I'm like laughing. I mean, I often laugh when there's something cool, like great happening on screen. Whenever the storytelling gets really good, even if it's like really sad, sometimes I end up laughing because I'm so excited that I'm watching something great. And I was just laughing at that moment because I was like, I can't believe how much is being recontextualized in my head as we watch this. It's insane. So incredible twist. That's why the Zoe twist is number 7. At number 6 is the sitting on the empty throne scene. Wait, what if Emu sits on the throne? Oh my god. Oh my god. Wait, that's fucked. It's all a fucking lie. They do have someone they all bow to. Oh my god. What? This is fucking, oh my god, this is great. What the fuck is that? This was another addition to the top 10 that happened kind of at the last minute because I made this list initially before I'd watched that episode. It was kind of stupid to start making the list before I was watching Reverie episodes because I knew there was going to be major lore drops there. But I was like, yeah, well, I can just add it afterwards. But what I didn't think was like how hard it would be to figure out where on this list this goes, because there's several things. Like, it didn't necessarily get me as excited as some of these other moments on the list, you know? But I think what makes this so crazy is like this scene, and if you don't remember the scene, basically Emu, is that his name? Is like this weird shadowy figure that we don't know anything about really. They set up earlier in the episode, or in the previous episode, that that there's this empty throne, and the empty throne is like represents the idea that there's no one ruler of the world. Like there's this throne, but no one sits on it because like nobody has the right to rule the entire world. We rule it together in harmony. When that scene happened, you can go back and watch my discussion to that scene specifically. I was gushing about it. I was talking about how I love that idea because there's so much cool shit that you could do with the idea of an empty throne. And I said in that discussion, imagine how cool it's gonna be if Oda ever has like this villain. How cool a moment you could have the villain strolling up and sitting on the empty throne, and it's like representing like this person is the person that rules the world, you know? I thought that was like a long-term plan. Turns out it was only a few episodes later where we have the Elder Stars coming and bowing before someone. Elder Stars, who we've kind of considered to be the leaders of the world, bowing before someone, and it's this one person who's sitting on the empty throne. It's a incredibly cool scene. And not only that, it could be one of the most important moments in all of One Piece, because theoretically, that could be the big bad of the series. Until that point, like, I thought, like, okay, well, if I'm thinking about it, it feels like maybe Blackbeard is the big bad of the series, you know? Or like, you know, you could consider like a few different people as like, oh, this could be the main villain. But this feels like the strongest case for this is the most, like, not necessarily most evil guy in the series, but the one that's going to, like, that has the most power, that is going to be the craziest one to take down, I feel like. So, what an incredibly cool scene, because it's one that goes, hey, I know we're like almost 900 episodes into the series, we are introducing one of the most important villains possibly right now. And that was amazing. It was so cool. I loved it. So that's why that is number 6. At number 5, we have Sanji versus Luffy. Have Nami crying in one of her cutest outfits in the whole show.
Sanji!
Yes!
Sayonara.
Oh my god. Ah, yeah, he hates it. Yes, of course. Yeah, you can't send him away. That's really nice. Without you, I can't do it. Like, Luffy never says shit like that. When I watched this moment, I thought, like, this is the emotional climax of the arc. You know, like, this is the really, really crazy important moment of the entire arc. There, like, it turns out there's some more later in the arc, but I was like really shocked by this moment and I really loved it. It was reminiscent of like Usopp versus Luffy, obviously, but the difference is like in Usopp versus Luffy, Luffy's fighting all out and actually like beats Usopp. But in this moment, like Luffy's not fighting. Sanji is just attacking Luffy essentially. And the best moment, I mean, it had a really great build up. And like just a lot of cool shit happening. The best moment of this, and this is one of my big regrets from my discussions of that episode, but I didn't end up talking about in those discussions the line of like Luffy screaming that you know, without you I can't become the king of the pirates. It's such an important line, and when I watched it and when I was doing the reaction to it, I said at the time, like, Luffy never says shit like that. Like, I clocked the moment. I was listening to it, I knew the importance of it at the moment, but then when I went to the discussion, I discussed everything else, but I didn't discuss that line, even though it's the most important part of the scene. Because Luffy doesn't say that stuff. Luffy was actually admitting, like, this is something I can't do without you. Like, I need you to do this. And, like, especially coming from Luffy, someone who he wants to be, like, we've seen from Enies Lobby, he wants to be strong enough that it doesn't matter who his friends are. You know, he can bring any of his friends that he wants because he's strong enough to protect them and lead the way for them. He doesn't want to have to, like, have his friends protect him. I think it's not that he's too prideful for that, but he, like, doesn't want his friends to have the burden. And he, like, learned that from Usopp, who, like, was too anxious that he was the weak one and that Luffy would leave him behind one day. And so he, you know, preemptively left Luffy behind instead. So, like, having... not Usopp, Luffy admit to Sanji, I can't do this without you. Like, I need you here, is a huge moment. So, really, really well written. That's why Sanji versus Luffy is number 5. Number 4. This one is Snake Man. This is it. Oh, finally! Here we go! Oh, so cool. I mean, Katakuri, you gotta be scared now. That's such a cool transformation. Snake Man? Huh? What? Oh. Oh, Lord. Whoa! It looks awesome. Whoa. It's so simple, but I love it. Okay, so Snake Man, I don't know if I'm going to talk about this a lot, because really this is in here out of just like pure hype. I didn't know there was going to be more forms. I knew that there was like Gear 4 was like Gear 4 Bounce Man, but I didn't know that like that there were going to be other forms of it. But for them to like introduce Snake Man out of nowhere to me, like I really didn't know it was coming, was awesome. I loved the alternate form. I loved the design of it. And it just had like a really cool build up. It kind of felt like Second Gear, but for Fourth Gear. Like it was like 2.0 of Fourth Gear. It was like really great. It had a great height. It was just a great height moment. It really fit nicely for the Katakuri climax, especially since, you know, they weren't going to introduce Gear 5 yet. This was something sort of to hold us over until Gear 5, you know? Like here's an extra version of Gear 4 for you to enjoy. And I really did. So that's why Snake Man is number 4. At number 3 is Pudding's kiss at the end of Whole Cake Island. The memory? Can she like watch the memory back? Is she gonna savor the memory of them kissing? Or erase it? I mean, that would be fucked. Oh, the music is so great. Thank you. Arigato. Oh no! She erased the memory of them kissing from him. Guys, this moment is incredible. And you know what? Like, even sitting here, I think I went back and forth with 3 and 2 on this list a lot. I think I consider 3 and 2 kind of at the same point, like they're the same level. And I mean, even right now as I'm doing it, I'm kind of regretting not putting it at 2, but I've already put it here. But just know, like, that is how close these are for me, is like I am going back and forth on them. But this, when I said before that the pudding reveal was setting up for a moment that is even more special to me, it was this moment. The end of Whole Cake Island, an ending which is somewhat like unfulfilled. I'm not using that in a negative way. I'm not saying that the story didn't do its job properly. The beautiful thing about TV shows is you can kind of end arcs and not resolve everything. Whole Cake Island is arguably like one of the least resolved arcs. We didn't beat the big boss. We got the stuff that we came here to get mostly, but you know, like some of the goodbyes are a little too hasty. We didn't get to have like a big party. There was like a lot of things that we couldn't do just because of the nature of the arc. And I loved that part of it. I really think that's great. And so within that, you have this final moment between Sanji and Pudding. Firstly, for them to just like straight up have a beautiful kiss is amazing, because like One Piece doesn't do much romance. Like Oda doesn't write that much romance into his series. But God, he fucking can if he wants to. Like, the Pudding Sanji, like, romance that they had put in this arc felt to me, like, so perfect. And I love the roller coaster that I went with Pudding's character, where it's like, I can tell you right now, there was never a point where I didn't like her character. But I liked her for different reasons. At first, I liked her because she seemed like really sweet and great and cute. Like I liked that vibe that she gave off, and that she was a very supportive woman. Then when the reveal happened, I liked her because she's a really interesting villain, and I liked the potential that gave to the character, and I liked the trickery that Oda used on me. And I loved her design. Like, there was just so much that I liked about her then. And then we sort of started to see her change a little bit. Whereas by the end of the arc, I loved the duality of her character. Of like, the Pudding that we saw at the start of the arc isn't entirely a lie. it was a character she was playing, and it was a character that she really thought was a lie, but there's some of that really in there. And what we see here is like kissing Sanji and then taking the memory of the kiss from Sanji, because like then if she had kissed him and left the memory there, maybe he would have stayed with her, and maybe he wouldn't have been with his friends, and maybe he wouldn't have had his dream properly or whatever. Like it is so much less complicated if he just doesn't know that happened, but she still wanted to have that final kiss, but she also had to pull it out of him. So like when she pulls it out of him, she's basically like pulling out that chance that they had at a life together. Like she's going like, I'm going to sacrifice this relationship we could have for Sanji, which like if like that is one hell of a fucking redemption for that character to me. That's an incredible moment. The music was amazing. The fact that it was like framed like a silent film is just genius, and it made me cry so much. Like it made me cry as much as some of the most I've cried in all of One Piece. It really hit me. So that's why that is number 3. At number 2, speaking of crying, is Sanji crying. Did I give you permission to leave my crew, motherfucker? I love that! That's always what Luffy's about! It's the same like say you want to live with Robin, like... Stop giving me this shit about what should happen. Tell me what you want! I love how innocent that is. As I said, I'm going back and forth on 2 and 3, but this moment at number 2, the reason I put this slightly higher than the last one really just comes down to how impactful it is on the series rather than its impact on me, which maybe that's the wrong priority to have, but essentially, like, this is a similar type of moment, but this is like a Sanji emotional climax, which is really important because we don't get to see this side of Sanji very often. And what I always loved about this moment of him crying and saying, I want to go back to the sunny, is that like we see Sanji as a kid. We see him in his most childlike state. I think it's really beautiful to see a character like this. And like, I just think whenever I see characters, especially ones who act tough, who are very cool, acting like a kid, it gets me really emotional because I feel like a lot of us really are kids at heart, and we forget that part of ourselves so often. So for Sanji to feel comfortable enough with Luffy that he just breaks down and lets all of that out, it struck me, you know, and it reminded me of times where I've been like, you know, strong. I've been acting strong emotionally about something, and I didn't realize how much I was holding back, and then I just say something, or someone says something to me, and it all comes flooding out at once, and I don't know where it came from, and I just can't control it. Like, that sort of emotion bubbling out of me is something so raw, and I remember like that moment really connecting with me, and it reminded me of the Nami, you know, Luffy help me moment. It reminded me of the Robin I want to live moment, like these major emotional climaxes of the show, things that when I think of One Piece, I think of those sorts of scenes. So to get one of those for Sanji was very nice. That is why that is number 2. Okay, it's time for the honorable mentions. Now, the honorable mentions, as I said, there's probably not going to be clips over these. I'm just going to read them off a list, and then we're going to move on. But just know that all of these were genuinely in contention, and some of these were even in the list until the last moment. So here are the moments. The part where Corazon, the like backstory with Corazon and where he saved Law, that was one. The Senor Pink backstory, that was like unexpectedly incredibly emotional and amazing. Oh my god, I loved that. Sanji's last name reveal, just like being able to get that lore about him this late into the show is so cool. Big Mom's introduction with the whole song and music and like showing us what the arc is going to be is awesome. Carrot's transformation, Carrot's like Sulong form, just like something we didn't even know was possible and was awesome. Brook versus Big Mom, I mean, Brook doesn't get many crazy awesome moments like that in the series, and he got one where he's fighting an emperor and did a decent job. It was great. Pedro's sacrifice. I mean, Pedro was an absolute G. I loved having him just get an amazing moment like that, and for them to make it like victorious, like a very victorious moment. So good. The Katakuri face reveal. I mean, they'd built up like the idea of Katakuri this entire time for us to see what he looked like under the scarf, and for it to be like very weird. It's just such a cool One Piece moment. The what's special about Sanji scene, so the scene where Judge is yelling at Luffy and saying like what's so special about him, and then listed off all the moments, and Luffy just goes like, why did he say all those nice things about you? It's just such great writing, even such a simply written scene, but it works so nicely. And finally, the Revolutionary Army leaders that we finally get to meet. This moment was in the top 10 until the last minute. This moment was number 10 and was taken out by the Wano thing, and I was really disappointed to have it leave, but I really loved getting introduced to all those Revolutionary Army leaders. Okay, it's time for number 1, and number 1 is Fourth Gear. Yep. That's really all it's about. It's not about saving people. You pissed him off. Awesome. What's this? Fourth gear. Oh, shit! Yes! We're gonna fucking do it! Fourth gear, baby! Oh, boy. Okay. Oh, he has to kick off his shoes. Okay, it has to do with Haki. What the fuck? So it's like third gear, but with muscles? Is that what it is? Oh my god! He turns into the fucking Hulk. Whoa! He's got the Tanjiro mark on him. What the fuck? Whoa! The fucking dark eyes? Wow. Bounce, man? Oh, man. I love that sound. It's like you're winding it up. It's like pulling a crossbow string back. Oh! Kong? Like King Kong? Oh, hell yeah. So it feels a little strange because I already had Snake Man on this list, so like fourth gear is just a different application of like, I mean, you know what I mean. Like Snake Man came later, it was another use of fourth gear. But just the first time we ever see fourth gear, it was such an exciting moment for me. I think I had to put it there. Like there's times in TV shows where you cry, there's times where you get really excited, and it's really hard to compare those moments. So I feel like I tend to go back and forth in these top 5s, top 10s, on whether number 1 is going to be the part that made me cry the most or the part that made me scream and jump out of my chair. And I feel like that's a really difficult thing to go back and forth with. I feel like having Sanji crying and putting Kiss removal as 2 and 3 makes it make a lot of sense for me to put the hype moment as number 1. The fourth gear hype moment was one that really hit me, and it hit me extra because like not only had we been just waiting for fourth gear, like just knowing that there's going to be a fourth gear, so what's it going to be, like that waiting for a while was really exciting, but also, like, I still know what Gear 5 is going to be, or at least I know what it looks like, you know? And I know when about in the show it's going to come, just because people, when it happened, didn't shut up about it. People were posting it everywhere without spoiler tags or anything, right? So I knew at what point in the show it was going to come up, and I know basically what the design of it is. With Gears 2 and 3, they kind of happened like in pretty quick succession in the show. So I didn't have too much time to like build up my opinions on what I thought they were going to be, because I didn't know the gears existed until he did second gear. And then when he did third gear, I wasn't even thinking we were going to get third gear anytime soon. So, so it just sort of like, I didn't have time to like think too much about it. But then there was a long time between Gear 3 and Gear 4. So I was excited. I was so excited for what it was going to be. And it blew me the fuck away. Because this was this was one that I like never got any spoilers on. I never saw any pictures of the design of this version of Luffy or anything, and I'm so glad that I didn't, because the excitement was so amazing. I love Gear 4, and to this day, still, every time he goes into fourth gear, it's an incredibly hype moment for me. It gets me so excited. I love the sound design. I mean, the sound design's so weird, but it works really nicely. And I love how it like rides a line between really badass and kind of silly at the exact same time. Oda is so good at riding that line, it's crazy. And this is like, to me, the perfect... Like, this is him writing that line better than he's ever written it. Where it's like, yes, it is so silly looking if you didn't watch One Piece, if you didn't know much about it. You might look at that design and go, what the fuck is going on in One Piece? And yet, like, when you're this invested, when you know Luffy, and when you know the moment that it's coming, and like, and everything's coming together, and also the animation building up, like the transformation sequence into that fourth gear, when all of that comes together... It's something special, man. It's such a special moment. It's amazing, and it has some of my favorite moves that Luffy does. It's the I think it's called Culverine or something, which is, I think, my favorite. It's like the one that bounces around. That's like my favorite Luffy move ever. I love it so much. The way he flies around like a jet plane, the Kong gun that like goes like and stretches back is so cool. So I loved it. It was just such an amazing moment. It was a great, like, after all the build-up of Dressrosa, I was hoping that the final battle was going to have some sick shit in it, and it really did. So that is why that is number 1. So thank you for watching my top 10 moments of episode 700 to 900. I hope you enjoyed it. Tell me what your favorite moments were in this section down below. And subscribe to the channel, like the video if you like this stuff. If you want to see any of my reactions, go check them out on my channel. You can also go to my Patreon account for full-length early access and exclusive videos. You can get deep into Wano on there right now. But thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.